17 minutes past 7. Good morning, Dotty McLeod. Returning then to the subject of needles found in Cambridge and, as you'll hear very soon, in other communities around Cambridgeshire. We've had dozens of needles found round the back of a supermarket in Cambridge city centre. A dozen odd again found in a patch of grass in Huntingdon. Needles being found in housing development stairwells, in car park staircases. We can speak now to Lib Dem councillor for Trumpington Ward, Zoe O'Connell, who chairs the South Area Committee, who these latest figures were compiled for. Morning, Zoe.
Good morning, Dotty.
Do these figures trouble you?
They certainly do. We've long known there's been a big issue with needles in Trumpington and across South Area and elsewhere in the city. But 400 needles is something completely new. We've not seen a find of this size, as I can remember, while I've been a councillor.
And they were found in one particular property?
That's correct. One particular property in Anstey Way, which I understand was not occupied at the time.
I mean, 400 needles all in one place is quite some figure. You've described policing for this as like a game of whack-a-mole. What do you mean by that?
Well, the trouble that the police have is that the drug dealers they see on the streets are not the one ultimately causing the problem. If they arrest the street dealers, then another dealer will be down on the very next train from London to carry on dealing on the same street corner or another street corner nearby. Unless those higher up the train are caught and arrested by the police, then ultimately the problem just gets pushed around rather than being solved for good.
Well, or unless, I suppose, something is done to curb drug use in Cambridge.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the ideal solution from my perspective would be more focus on treating drug use as a health issue as much as a criminal issue, and divert people who are using drugs into appropriate rehabilitation services. Ultimately, drug dealers are businessmen. They're criminal businessmen, but they view themselves as businessmen and women. And if there's no demand, there's no business for them.
Zoe, thank you very much. Zoe O'Connell there, Lib Dem councillor for Trumpington Ward in Cambridge. Apologies for the slightly rumbly line, but you can hear Zoe there calling for focus on drug use as a health issue rather than necessarily a criminal one. Says that might curb the problem in Cambridge. Of course, Cambridge isn't the only place in Cambridgeshire where discarded needles have been problematic. In Peterborough, there was such an issue with needles and syringes being left on one green area which children explored on the way to school. A group of local mums took matters into their own hands. Fiona Henry is part of the Needless Needles campaign, is trying to change the area. Hi, Fiona.
Hi, Dotty.
Now, we first spoke in February after you started a petition on this subject. Just remind us what the problem was in this area around Thorpe and Midland Road.
It wasn't particularly there. That was one of the places we'd seen them, but kind of anywhere we went, taking the kids to school, walking to town, we were seeing more discarded needles, kind of most days. So we set a petition to get the council to do something more about it.
And you certainly have got the council to do something about it. Remind us what happened more recently.
After the petition was verified, we were contacted by the council who were setting up a task force, and we were invited to be part of that.
And do you feel that that's made a difference?
So far we are noticing less. There's been training for needle exchange pharmacies, ensuring they're asking the right questions of service users, and it does seem to have had an impact already, and there are a lot of other things that we've got kind of in the pipeline. So
what else are you hoping that the task force will be able to achieve?
Well, we're looking at things like data collection, because nobody really knows how many needles are being collected at any one time. So we think that if we have a better idea of the kind of numbers we're looking at, we will see the scale of the problem. We're also looking at things like the public bins, the public drop bins specifically for needles.
They're sometimes called sharps boxes, aren't they?
Yes, but in Peterborough we've got a few very large specific needle boxes which are metal bins which are safe for for both drug needles and for insulin needles as well.
Would you like to see more of those crop up in the city?
That is definitely something we're looking at. Again, with the data collection, we'll be able to see where the main problem areas are, and where these need to be placed.
Then you'll have a baseline to work from.
Yeah,
I guess. And Fiona, do you think it's important that grassroots group like yourselves get involved rather than just relying on the police? I
think it is. I think people living in the community see where these problems are. So without the public saying where there are main issues, nobody can really go in and try and solve those problems.
Fiona, great to talk to you. Fiona Henry there from the Needless Needles campaign in Peterborough. We'll keep you updated as they carry on trying to reduce the number of sharps found on the city streets. We can travel to Wisbech as well, where a rugby club and the next door cricket club are both having issues with needles on their playing pitches. We've been told the cricket club has stopped its junior players from fetching boundary balls for fear that they might come across one. Dave Dobson is the rugby club's secretary. Morning, Dave.
Good morning.
This sounds pretty bleak to me.
It's certainly not anything like on the scale that the comments from Cambridge and Peterborough gave earlier on in terms of our experience as a club. But on the land that we rent as tenants from the National Trust, there is public access, and there are occasions when we do find discarded needles in amongst the general litter, which is also a problem for us. We as a club, a volunteer club, take it seriously that we try to keep on top of litter at all times, and we do regularly come across discarded syringes.
So what action have you taken?
As a club, we worked with the National Trust last summer and got permission to secure the fencing and put some signage up around two of our pitches which would restrict access, particularly to people wanting to walk dogs. That doesn't mean to say that people can't get onto the pitch if they chose to, simply by climbing over the fence. But we have found that that's helped us immeasurably on two of our pitches. On a third pitch that we use, there are public rights of way, and so therefore neither ourselves or the National Trust are able to restrict access to that area, and that's where the littering hotspot is, and that's where we would be coming across more discarded syringes. We expect over the coming months, as we get longer days, it's going to attract more people to be out and about, and more people to perhaps congregate in that area, which is known to the police as an area where drug dealing happens. And the police are proactive in that respect, as are the agencies that Fenland District Council can deploy, as well as their street cleaning teams, who are very good. They will react to calls from us about particular problems and help clear as and when.
So grim old business, but you do feel that you're being supported by the powers that be. Dave, thank you very much for your time. Dave Dobson there, the secretary of Wisbech Rugby Club. They play alongside a local cricket club who have stopped their younger players from fetching boundary balls in case they come across a discarded needle. And how sad is that? Just such a shame. We'll have our reporter Ben Stevenson at a local place where 15 needles were found just earlier on this month. It's worth saying if you find a needle in Cambridge city centre, then you can report it. You can help set that baseline figure and then tell whether things are improving or getting worse. You can call the customer service centre on 01223 458 282, or you can email wasteandstreets@cambridge.gov.uk. And if you're in Peterborough and spot needles on the streets, the way to report it is at peterborough.gov.uk/report or via social media.
FM, online, on DAB. This is BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.